4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Bally Spring. Yous are joining me on what's a pretty cracking afternoon down here, to be fair. I'm just after going down there to grab that one's tag number because I noticed they're sort of standing away on their own down there. I was just out having me lunch there at the wall and sort of spied her on her own, and sometimes when you see them on their own like that, it's a sure sign something's wrong with her. And when I went down to her, I just noticed she was a little bit lame on the back foot. So yeah, I just made a note of her tag number there, the way I can let Kevin know. I'd say it's only a little grass sore or something like that, and you know, I'm presuming he has them all well vaccinated for things like black leg and yolks like that, so I wouldn't say it's anything to worry about, but he might want to give her a shot of alamycin or something. The old hoof management is a big thing, of course, with the dairy cows. It is something you really do have to keep on top of it. Ask any of the dairy boys, they won't be long telling you that, and they won't be long telling you how much of a bloody pain it is as well. Now, couple of updates on the farm, and the first of which is you can see our slurry tanker has arrived, and I think it's somehow even dirtier than it was the last time we looked at it. Whether he was given one final use or what, I don't know, but yeah, happy to have it here now. I think it's a good quality tanker, and I think we paid a fair price for it, so yeah, happy to have another thing ticked off the list, so to speak. Now, I also picked up the little potato edger off him. I have actually been putting this thing to the test this morning as well. I did fit a new set of points to it, and yeah, she's been doing a pretty good job. She's pulling out the vast majority of weeds, I would say. It's a slow process going through it up there, alright, but I'd say I have about a little more than half it done. I did make a fairly early start I had this morning, so we'll be bursting on with that later on today, and if we get time then as well, we're going to be also testing out her little flail, because yeah, I got the housing for the bearing on it, and so yeah, we'll get out and do a bit of topping with that later, hopefully, as well. Now, what you might notice is not down here is that little potato digger, because, well, I couldn't end up doing a deal with him, unfortunately. He was just looking too much for it. He rang me back, and you know, I says to him, well, I says, did you ring Wes? I says, or what did he say to you? I says, and he says, he didn't actually tell me what price Wes said to him, but he said, look, he says, I'm not happy to sell it at that money. He says, it's just he says, I think it's worth more. He says, I think I can get me 4,000 for it, and he said, I'm going to chance me luck and put it onto the auction there. So I says to him, alright, that's fair enough, you know, what more could I really say to him? I can't force him to sell it, you know, so I still think he's asking too much for it, but sure, it is what it is. It's unfortunate because yeah, I think that chalk would have really suited us. Like, I know it is a 2-row planter, and those are a little bit rarer to find than the single rows, and so maybe I can understand his way of thinking there if he thinks he is going to get a few more pound for it, but like, honestly, it's still a very old machine, and I just don't think he is going to get that money, you know. I think I was offering him a fair price, so it's unfortunate, yeah, like I said, that we couldn't do a deal. I tell you what I am going to do though, whenever that auction does roll around, I am actually going to head on down to it, because, well, sure, I might as well, like, you know, I'll put in an offer on it and I'll go up to 3 grand for it, like, if I can, but like, if I end up winning it, you know, God knows what he'll put on it as a reserve, but, you know, even if I won the auction at 3 grand and he had a reserve of 4 on it, he might sort of start to realise that, okay, maybe it's not worth the 4 grand, and he might decide, you know, to let it go to me at that point, but that could only be wishful thinking too, so we'll keep on the eye out for another one anyway, in case, but yeah, if not, I'll head on up to that auction and see is there anything we can do. Now, if you're wondering what I'm up to here, I'm just getting a few of these bales loaded. I have actually managed to sell another 7 bales, and I'm supposed to deliver them up to this man here now this evening. Now, I actually have Don to thank for this, because it's a mate of his with a few horses there, and he was looking for a little bit of hay, and Don said to him that I had hay there for sale, and you know, he was saying to him that it was good quality stuff as well, because the old boys with the horses, they tend to be fairly particular with the old hay, like, you know, any of them doing, you know, with competition animals or anything like that, especially, they do need a good quality feed. You can't just give them any old sort of hay at all, so it's always something to be wary of. Now, speaking of Don, I didn't mention it in the last video because, well, there was a lot going on with our old trip to court there in Yorks, but I had called down to him the day after we'd been down there bailing, because I was originally calling down to him because I intended to give him a hand to clean up the whole bloody mess, you know, because, sure, look, it's not a nice thing to have happen, you know, no one would like to see that happen on their own land or anything, so I wasn't really busy or anything, so I said I'd tip on down and give him a hand to clean it up, and I said I'd give him a hand to get in them old small bales there as well. And lo and behold, when I got down, I saw a sight rarer than a bloody blue moon, because what I saw was the council boys down there cleaning it up, and I couldn't believe it nearly, to be honest, but I went and knocked on Don's door anyway, and I says to him, I says, Don, how are you getting on? I says, I came down here, I said, with the intention of giving you an old hand to clean up. I says, but I see you have the council boys on it. I says, did you give him a ring or what? He says, oh, I rang him there. He says, straight after you rang me. He says, oh, that's a public access laneway, do you know, technically speaking. He says, so, he said, I rang him there about getting down here. This one's thinking hard of coming off the forks. Let's try that again. So I said to him, alright, I says, well, I says, ringing him is one thing. I says, actually getting him out is usually a different story. I says, how did you manage to get him out so quickly? And I'm not messing it, he's like a lad out with a mob or something, because he starts tapping his nose with his index finger, and he says to me, connections, he says, it's all about connections, he says, it's who you know, he says, if you want to get things done around this town, he says, you need to know the right people. And I says to him, well, I says, can you bloody let me know, I says, who a few of them people are, I says, because the last time I had to ring the council, I says, it took them 2 weeks to even ring me back. And not messing you, that lad's so bloody lucky. If he caught a fish in the river, he'd come with a bloody bag of chips, that's the truth. But anyway, while I was down there, I did give him a hand to get in those little old small square bales, because they're a bit of a pain to pick up, and sure, I was already down there at that stage, so I said I'd give him a hand, you know. And he was saying to me then at that stage that he actually might buy a few bales off me. And I was kind of surprised, because I thought he had a good enough yield down there, you know. But he said to me, no, he said, we done well, he said, with the round bales, but he said, I thought we'd have more square bales on it. He said, normally that field gives me about 60, and I only baled about, I think it was 41 or something off it. So, yeah, he was a little underwhelmed, and so he said he might buy it off me, and he said, God, he said, I don't know what's going on, he says, because, like, he said she was well fertilised and all. He said, I really thought we should have got more off it than that, like. And I just said to him that, you know, when I had been down there, I said, I noticed that, you know, the sugars were quite low on that. I said, they were really only touch and go. I said, even when, I'll just get these strapped down here. I said, even when I tested, I says, there right before I cut, I said they were sort of only borderline, you know. And he said to me, yeah, he says, I know, he says, you mentioned that alright, he says, but, he says, still, he says, I thought we would have done better. And I just said to him, well, I said, you know, I said, that can be an indication sometimes, I said, that the field might want to actually be reseeded. I said, when was the last time you actually did reseed that? And he says to me, oh God, he says, I don't know, he says, it must be 7 if not 8 years ago. And I says to him, well sure, I says, there's your problem. I said, you'd want to be doing them old fields, I says, every 5 if not 6 years done, I says, you know, at the most. So he said to me, well, what would you suggest, he said, in terms, you know, maybe helping it kick on, he says, for this time around, he says, and maybe I'll look into reseeding it then. And I actually said to him at first, I said if you could get a drop of slurry onto it, I said I'd probably do it the world of good. I said, but I said if not, maybe a little bit of liquid fertilizer. I said, but you know, that'd probably give it a good kick on. And I said to him that I had the little sprayer there, and so if he did want to try the liquid fert, I could do it for him. So he said he would actually try that, and I ended up running up that day and getting the fert for him and going down and spraying it. And sure, look, it only took 15 minutes, so I didn't even really want to charge him for it, to be honest. But he threw me out €100 for it, because he said, here, he says, you're after coming down now and giving me a hand with them bales, he says, and I wasn't expecting you to do that or anything, he says. So he said, take on that money with you there. So I didn't argue with him, I took on the €100. So it was a little bit of an unexpected job, I suppose, but sure. Right, so we are just back up at field 77 here. I just get us pulled in. And yeah, as I was saying to you, I did make a start at this here fairly early this morning. I was up about 8 o'clock or so. I started in here, and yeah, it's been slow going, but we are getting through it. We are definitely getting through it. I got a little bit more than half it done, I would say. And we'll just try and find where we left off here, and I think this is probably about it. But yeah, you can probably see the difference there just looking at it there, right and left. We'll hop out before we get started here. But yeah, as you can see, the weeds have took a bit of a foothold there, all right. But yeah, she's doing a good little job. Like she's not grabbing every single weed that's coming out of it, and you wouldn't expect a little machine like that to do it. But you know, it's grabbing 80-90% of them, and well, you know, that's really all you want, because you know, once you get the vast majority out of them, you're not worrying about like your fertilizer going to waste, growing weeds instead of growing your potatoes, which is obviously what you want to be growing in the first place. But yeah, they're a pretty simple little piece of kit, these yokes. Like, you know, there's not a whole lot really to them. I did buy a new set of points to go on to that one, because they were fairly well worn on it, and you do want nice sharp points on it, even though you're not really digging into the ground very much with them. You know, you do sort of have to be careful with these things. They're a little bit finicky. I used one years ago there on where my father had the potatoes, and you know, they were always a little bit finicky, just to get them set up 100% right on the top link and stuff, because you want them digging into the ground, but you only want them sort of digging into the ground, you know, an inch or maybe an inch and a half, just enough to sort of get under the weed there and to lift it out of the ground. But obviously you don't want to be digging in too much to the point where you're going to be disturbing your potatoes or anything. So yeah, they're, like I said, it's you know, it's a slow process with it, but sure, at the end of the day, this is going to save us a good bit of money, like here, because, you know, the price of herbicide can be unreal. So, you know, if we can get it done this way, I don't mind it taking us a little bit more time, if the end result is saving us a bit of money, like I said, and, you know, not spreading the herbicide on them. That's obviously going to be good for our crop then as well. You know, it's going to when you spray on the weeds, not only are you know, you're killing off the weeds, and you're obviously not going to kill off your potatoes or anything, but you're not exactly doing them any huge favours by putting the herbicide on them either. So when you can avoid it, it is best to do so, you know. Now, I tell you what, I may still have jobs to do today, but this evening is not passing without me washing that 675, because holy hell, look at the absolute state of it. Anyway, we're going to head on out here and try and make a start on this topping, but just before we head out, I'll just give you a look at them fields down there. As you can see, they are all starting to kick on pretty nicely there already. The liquid fertilizer has definitely done its job down there, I would say. That is definitely the benefit of the liquid fert, you know. It does get to work straight away. You're not waiting around or dependent on the rain for it or anything like that. And so hopefully now that's going to give it a good kick on and help it to bring it in line with all the rest of our grassland. But fields 71 and field 69 out here on the left. Those have kicked on very well, as you can probably see. You know, definitely having the bit of slurry on them there has definitely helped, and getting to apply it with Kevin's tractor also helped as well, because his slurry tanker obviously has the dribble bar on it, and it's a much more efficient way of spreading on the slurry in the first place. You know, it allows you to get it right down there onto the soil exactly where you want it. You know, you're not losing any slurry to the atmosphere or anything when you're spreading it with a splash plate or anything. So yeah, those have kicked on really nicely, like I said. The only place that haven't kicked on as well as I was hoping is the little half-acre paddock, and also the field down at the back of Wes's. I did spread those with the fertilizer that we had in stock down there. Was the 3400, and like I said, it was already last year's stock when I bought it, so maybe it's not the best in the world, but I'm hoping the second round of fert that we put on it, I did put on a slightly higher application, so I'm hoping that he's going to give it a bit of a kick on. As you can see now, our weeder did a pretty good little job. Like I said, she didn't catch every weed is in it or anything, but like, you don't really expect that either. Has gone a little bit overcast as it's getting into the evening, but it's supposed to stay dry, so we'll see what happens. Now it'll be interesting to see what way this yoke gets on. This is a slightly different type of mower, of course, from our Pottinger, and I'll just jump out for a second because I just do want to make sure everything is going okay with it. Certainly sounds okay. You can see the blade is spinning away there nicely. But yeah, like I said, these are sort of a different setup. These are more like a heavy duty lawnmower for all the world. If you can imagine, they're if you've ever used a ride-on lawnmower and you have a mulching setting on it, these basically will work the same. You can use these for a lot of jobs really. They're a pretty versatile little machine. You know, they'll absolutely fly through any long grass or thistles or anything like that that you have. And as you can see, she's not really leaving a raw material or anything like that behind it. It tends to just scatter the grass very finely around the place. And yeah, she seems to be doing an okay job there now so far. And doesn't feel like a machine under pressure or anything anyway, which is always a good sign too. So yeah, pretty happy with it now, to be honest. Looks to be going well. But like I said, these are a machine that can have you know, multiple names. Some lads like to call them a topper, other lads call them a flail mower, and other lads call them a finishing mower. And the finishing mower is called as such because well, a lot of times if you have cattle or cows out grazing, and if the grass got a little bit too strong for them, well, basically the cattle, they don't like eating it as much, because it's harder for them to rip it out of the ground for a start, but it's also harder for them to chew, it's harder for them to digest, and it's just a little bit more work on them all the way around. You know, when I say the grass is getting strong, there is what I mean. It's starting to bud up and get a head on it, and your cattle obviously prefer nice leafy grass there, generally speaking. So what you can do is, if the cattle have missed any spots and they've left some long stringy grass around the place, you come in with the little finishing mower, and that just helps to scuff it all down nice and low, so it gives your grass a chance to regrow and get some you know, some nice leafy grass back going again there for them. Now, speaking of machines, something I wanted to talk to you briefly about is that I would say, you know, we've probably had a pretty good influx of machinery since we have started this series, and you know, it's probably seemed like we've brought in more than we actually have at the same time too, because, you know, there was so much faffing around there with that old harvester and the trailer and things like that. But yeah, we brought in a good few bits. Like, we've had a few unexpected things too, because, like, you know, we ended up finding that old buck rake and this old flail, and they weren't things I had really initially planned on buying, but they're handy little bits to have. And you know, even this tractor to some degree, I wasn't really planning on buying a second tractor anytime soon, but just sort of happened. So yeah, here we are. But you know, you have probably already guessed it looking at me budget there, but things are definitely going to slow down now. You know, the whole point of getting that truck sold was to help fund bringing in the basics, and you know, we haven't everything we need, but we have a lot of it now, and you know, we have enough machinery to hopefully we should be able to pick up a little bit of work there with some of the equipment that we do have as well. And but yeah, like, I do still have to save for this potato digger, but after that we're probably not likely to see anything else coming in there for a good while. You know, we will have money hopefully trickling in there. We'll have money coming in from our hay, and you know, hopefully we'll be able to pick up a few more bits of work before the summer is out and stuff there as well. We'll get that little bit I missed. I might have missed a couple of spots down there as well, but I didn't want to keep in too close to the potatoes because I definitely don't want to skim them. But yeah, like I said, money is just starting to get tighter there now. We'll have that potato digger to pay for as well, but you know, we're obviously going to have more fertilizer to go on to our potatoes here as well. And on top of that, we're going to be probably looking at more fertilizer costs there for our grass after our second cut. I'm not keeping in too tight to the ditch. I do want to leave a tiny bit of a grass margin there for any wildlife or anything, but we want to get the big part of it, so to speak. But yeah, we'll have to be you know, a little bit frugal probably with our money there for a while, because you know, we could be looking at maybe another $2,000 going out on fertilizer costs, and this is where that slurry tanker is really going to help us here too, because you know, that could help us save maybe 40% of what we would have spent on fertilizer. You know, we probably won't put slurry onto absolutely every field we have, but it will be going out onto the vast majority of them for sure. And you know, that's definitely going to help keep that cost down. I do have a little bit of liquid fork left, and I'll use that up on some of our fields there as well, but for the most part we're probably going to have to buy in. And so yeah, it's like I said, we'll just we'll have to be frugal with it until really probably selling the potatoes is going to be our next big piece of income here, I would say. And it's probably going to be what I would say at least mid-September, if not maybe even late September, by the time we get our potatoes out of the ground, because we definitely have late potatoes. You know, we were pretty late getting them into the ground in the first place, so obviously it's going to take a little bit longer for them to get them back out of the ground. But at that point we can maybe start considering getting a few more bits and pieces. There is stuff there I mentioned even in the last episode. You know, we talked about how we will have to get a plough at some stage, and you know, it's not going to be anything as nice as that pottinger that was up there, but we will have to get something. Another piece of kit we're going to need is a roller of some description, because as I mentioned way back, maybe in the very first episode I think it might have been, that it can be hard to get your ground level again after the potatoes, and you know, that's especially true if you're working big machinery on it. And I know we're not really working big machinery on it, but it still can be true of it. You know, we'll be looking at needing to bring in the cultivator, and then we'll need to roll. We'll probably need to make another couple of passes with the cultivator, and maybe then even a run with the mechanical harrow as well before we can think about sowing. And once we do get it sowed, we'll probably look to give it another quick roll at that point as well. So yeah, like I said, there is going to be bits and pieces that we're going to need to bring in still, but it's going to be a little bit of time before any of that can really happen. We're getting through this well. You can see the pile of stones there that we pulled out of this field. I had no way of taking them away, of course, because I had no trailer at the time, and obviously I still don't have one, so we just dumped them into the bucket and put them down there for the moment. We'll get back through this here. It's probably as quick to reverse through as it is anything else. We'll try and finish up these last couple of little bits. Now, the next thing I was going to talk to you about there quickly was to go back to something we talked about a few episodes ago, which was our options there when it comes to doing our second cut. And the first thing I wanted to say on that was actually just to thank you all for your feedback and stuff, because you know, I'm definitely open to feedback, like I said, and you know, it's like I said, if you don't listen you don't learn, and I'm open to feedback both in terms of, you know, things on the farm here, but also for just things like the series in general, because, you know, if you have any things that you like or you don't like, it's always worth letting me know, because at the end of the day I'm making this series in the hope that people are going to enjoy it, and so, you know, if I know the things people like and the things people don't like, it can obviously, hopefully, at least anyway, help me make a better episode for all of you. So, like I said, don't ever be afraid to let me know. You know, obviously, don't be a prick about it or anything if it's something that you don't like, because, you know, there's some things I obviously can't change. If you don't like the sound of my voice, you know, things like that. I mean, if you're going to tell me to stop singing, then I'm going to tell you screw you, because, you know, my mother said I had the voice of a damn angel. So, you know, there's that too. Oh, what the hell was that? Oh, Christ. I think we're after hitting a big stone. That does not sound good. Okay, let me hop out here for a minute, everyone. I'll come back to you in a moment. Oh, not good, not good. Well, everyone, looks like karma has struck for me singing, but yeah, I did the thing I was trying to teach all of you how to avoid a few episodes ago. I hit this goddamn big stone. As you can see here, it was just nesting at the butt of that tree, and I didn't see it in the long grass, and yeah, I think we just about missed it with the front tire, but we rolled over it with the back one, but we caught it with the front of the flail there as well, and it's after breaking the blade. Probably a good thing, I guess, that I didn't splash out for a new blade on it, because well, I'm gonna have to buy one now anyway. Ah, damn it, that is just a pain, but sure, look, not much we can do about it now. The good news is, at least, you know, all those blades are pretty universal, so I'm going to try and give Wes a ring here now. He might even have one in stock, and maybe we can get it swapped out and try and get going here again. But yeah, I'll go give him a ring here. Right, I'll just get that locked up. Everyone, we're still back in the field, because well, it turns out hitting that stone was the least of our problems, because I jumped back up into the cab of the tractor, and what I saw was that the oil pressure gauge was actually right down in the red. Now, I immediately stopped off the tractor and I got out and I dipped it for oil, but as I suspected, there was loads of oil in it, you know, because obviously we'd only been just doing the engine work on it. So at that point I had a multimeter here in the tractor with me, and I just said I'd test a little sensor, because, you know, sometimes those sensors get old and they get dodgy, and she could have been giving us a false reading, like. So yeah, I just tested that and everything seemed right, which means it probably was a true reading. So at that point I did start it back up, and when I started it back up, the oil pressure actually did come back up on it. But it wasn't where it should be on the gauge. You know, it should be almost sitting around the middle of the gauge, maybe a little bit to the left as you're looking at it. But she was hovering definitely a little bit low. Now, I tried giving it a rev at that point and putting the engine under a bit of load. And when I did that, what I noticed was that the oil pressure started to fluctuate on it, which it shouldn't be doing. It should be remaining consistent. Now, when I let off, the oil pressure actually dropped all the way back down in it again, which was a little bit concerning. So I tried putting it under load again, and as I did, it did actually start to creep back up, but again it was fluctuating, and it really shouldn't be doing that. You know, the oil pressure should be staying pretty regulated on it. So I think I do know what the problem is. I'm going to have to go down to the farm here and actually grab a couple of tools just to make certain, but I do think it is probably our oil pressure control switch which is gone on it here. You know, I think we will start making our way down to the farm here, but on more modern tractors that would be controlled by a solenoid, but it is just a little mechanical device on that. It's a pretty simple little thing. Basically you just have a little piston in the line before the pump, and you know, as the tractor is turned off, there will be no pressure on it, so the valve will be shut. As you start the tractor up and the oil starts to flow, that'll push the valve open a little bit, and as you start to put a rev on it, then the more oil flowing from the pump should help to push that piston back even further, and that helps to keep the pressure regulated on it. The fact that it's bouncing back and forth like that probably means that something is wrong, whether maybe a seal is gone inside of it or something, or it could be something like the little piston has got scorn and maybe it's sticking a little bit or something, that you know, it's just not allowing it to either open all the way, or even when it is opening, maybe it's not remaining opening or remaining open, I should say, and you know, maybe that's why we're seeing the pressure bounce up and down like that, which it definitely shouldn't be doing. But yeah, I thought hitting that stone was us having bad luck, but honestly that might be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because you know, I could have been busy cutting away there and yapping away to use at the same time, and you know, I might not necessarily had my eye on the gauges there, and I could have missed that, and if I had missed it, you know, that could have went pretty badly for us, because you know, we could have done some serious damage to the engine there if we hadn't have copped it. But luckily we did. It's like I say, that hitting that stone, she may well have saved our tractor at the end of the day. But yeah, I think that is probably where we're going to leave it for today's episode. I'm going to go down here and get something to eat, and I'll go back up and try and get a quick look at it and see is that the problem. And once I do get a look at it, I think I might head for a quick pint tonight. But yeah, like I said, that's where we're going to leave it for today's episode. As always, I hope everyone has enjoyed the episode, and until next time, take care and good luck.